saved, and I didn't have privy to, that was saved in Gary's house and in his estate when he passed away. And all of that went to Gail. So Gail Gygax owns all of that at the moment, not, I say that at the moment, like it's going somewhere. I don't know any secrets about anything. She owns the IP. So my guess would be that if he purchased the art from you and from an ownership perspective, you know, a lot of times companies like my own will do, I'll purchase art for one-time use and then it reverts to the artist. I do that frequently because I like people to own what they create. I think it's, you know, so you can go make more money off of it later. Sometimes I'll own the whole thing, but mostly it reverts to the artist. And to answer your question, depending on how your contract was signed, you may still own it, but probably Gary liked to own things. He really liked to own all of it. So my guess is it's in Gail Gygax's reservoir of, you know, IP that Gary still has, or that they still have with stuff. I know there's mountains, absolute mountains of it. He had sent me, I've had file folders, not physical, but digital file folders of just lots and lots of stuff that he had purchased over the years and just kind of accumulated. And stuff that he'd written, of course. He's written mountains of stuff, and that was coming my way as well. I released them to him, just hoping families. I'm sure they do. I would be very surprised if they don't. Well, let me ask you, do you still have copies of it? If you still have copies of it, then at least it's not lost, you know, and gone. You could put it on your website and say property of, I'm not sure, Gail, the company was called TROLLZAH. I'm not sure what she changed it. I think it's Gygax Memorial Fund may be the name of her company now, but I'm not. Oh, so you don't even have copies of it. So you send them hard copies via snail mail. Got it, yeah. It's kind of weird, you know, Max Golden, who founded the company with me back in 2000, he just sold his house, and they found a whole box of, when we founded it, much like you, the artist sent hard copies in, and we went down and had them, we didn't have a scanner, and we scanned them in, God knows where. So Max found this box of hard copies of just all this art, this hard copy stuff. Some of it I'd never seen, so it had gone to him. And then he had not rejected it necessarily, but we used it for another project, and we never used it. So we did the same thing you did there. But I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in a box. I'm not sure how well cataloged that stuff is. I know that his name is escaping me. A friend of mine went in there. Oh, what is his name? That's just going to drive me crazy. I've known him for 20 years. He went in and helped him kind of help Gail organize everything. So I'll bet you it's in there somewhere. Did Gary ever run a game for you? So, you know, that's one of the saddest things of my experience with Gary. I worked with Gary for 8 years. We did 2 conventions in Lake Geneva, specifically for Gary. Lake Geneva Con, we did 4 times in the summer, and then we did Winter Dark 3 times in the winter. In December, I think one was in January. We went to Game Fest, and we went to Gen Con when it was in Milwaukee, and of course we went to Paul Stromberg. Yes, thank you, Tim. Yes, that's who's doing it. I've known Paul forever. I can't believe I forgot his name. It's all the internet days. I completely lost. I got sidetracked with. Yeah, so Gary's running it. So I had we would run these conventions, and the trolls would come up, and I had a pretty strict rule for all the troll lords, and this fell for me too, that only if there was a slot available could we take the extra time to play with Gary, because there were people coming to these conventions that were paying the door fee, and they get first pick. And there was never, I know Mark got to play with him, I think Davis did, there was never a slot open that I actually managed to jump into and game with Gary. So sadly, I never gamed with Gary. I played a couple of board games with him. Not even board games. It was an Egyptian game. I don't know what it was called. It was a long time ago. Mostly I sat around Gary's porch and we would drink a little bit and eat dinner together and talk business and politics. And he and I'm a huge history buff, and he was a huge history buff, so we would sit around and talk history quite a bit. That was one of the things that we enjoyed doing. Last conversation I had with him, in fact, we were watching the History Channel there at Winter Dark, and that was in January, and he passed away in March of 2008. So that was our last face-to-face. But sadly, I did not ever get to game. I will say this: I walked by his at Game Fest 1. So when Gen Con leaves Milwaukee, Game Fest opens up. They run 2 shows there, which is cool. Nice little show. It never quite got the traction. But we went, and Gary came out as a guest of honor, of course. And I remember he was he was running a game. I'm pretty sure Peter Bradley was in it. He was running a game, and I was in the booth, and I was coming by to go get a Coke